Hello everyone, it's been a hot minute since I've posted any videos, but I'm currently in the Philippines with my mum. It's my grandma's 85th birthday. Today I'm just hanging out in a hotel room. I've just been feeling that I really need to share my journey with prayer and all the wisdom and skills and knowledge and tips that I've learnt along the way. Most of this wisdom is from my spiritual director, so I can't claim any of this. But through her wise and bold guidance, my faith is where it is today. And sorry if you hear lots of beeping and traffic outside. When you're driving in the Philippines, honking is just how you communicate. So apologies for that ambient background noise that you might hear.
You knit me together, you search me and you know me. Whoa.
So before we get started, like, subscribe if this series is something that you feel might help to enrich your prayer life. That is my hope for this series. So let's get started. So in this first video, I just wanted to cover what prayer is, what it should be, the struggles we might face, and why we might let our prayer lives slip. For me, prayer is a simple conversation with Jesus. This is my favorite quote about prayer from Saint Therese of Lisieux. Prayer is an aspiration of the heart. It is a glance directed to heaven. It is a cry of gratitude and love in the midst of trial as well as joy. Finally, it is something great, supernatural, which expands my soul and unites me to Jesus. How good is that? That just such a succinct summary of what prayer is and should be for any Christian person. It's also an opportunity to get to know Him, to get to know the heart of love itself, and through that I think we come to know ourselves better. I know I found that getting to know His heart opened my eyes to what changes need to happen and what transformation still needs to happen in my heart in order to become more like Him. Also an opportunity to pour ourselves out to God and just share with Him our joys, our sorrows, our desires, our aspirations, our victories, our uncertainties, our doubts, and just really lay that at the feet of the cross and the person on the cross. I love this quote from Saint Ignatius of Loyola. We must speak to God as a friend speaks to his friend, servant to his master, and communicating to Him all that concerns us, our thoughts, our fears, our projects, our desires, and in all things seeking His counsel. And that last line, I think every Christian person that is trying to imitate Christ needs to consult Jesus. He needs to be at the center. And since living a full-time mission life pretty much for the last few years, prayer is an opportunity for retreat, replenishment, renewal, rejuvenation, and a real filling up because of all the pouring out. I'm currently reading Creative Ministry by Henri Nouwen. He pretty much said that every Christian person is a minister in some way. I believe that to be so true because every Christian person is anointed and consecrated at their baptism. So whatever it is that we are individually asked to do, or whatever mission it is that we're uniquely given, we are ministering to the world in some way or other. And our lives, I think, need to be a reflection of that. But we need to learn how to sit down and let Him speak that into our lives. And I love this quote from Saint Faustina. A soul arms itself by prayer for all kinds of combat. In whatever state the soul may be, it ought to pray. A soul which is pure and beautiful must pray, or else it will lose its beauty. A soul which is striving after this purity must pray, or else it will never attain it. A soul which is newly converted must pray, or else it will fall again. A sinful soul, plunged in sins, must pray so that it might rise again. There is no soul which is not bound to pray, for every single grace comes to the soul through prayer. And I love that, and I think, just related to my previous point in the pouring out, God already knows our hearts and what we're going through and what we're struggling with. But I think we're both given a grace and we both receive a grace when we choose to present them to the Lord in prayer. And just quickly, I think there are 6 main things that stop our prayer life from flourishing. things. So the first one is discouragement. Sometimes we don't know how to pray, what to say in prayer, what to do in prayer. Sometimes there's just the humanness in us that doesn't have a desire to pray, which is okay. It's why we need to ask for the Holy Spirit to teach how to pray and intercede for us. Doubt, sometimes we might not think he's really listening, he might not care, maybe he's not there. And sometimes we might doubt the power of prayer and if it really matters and if we really need to engage in it. Impatience and dryness. We might not sense that he's present, we might be feeling that he's very distant from us, or we might just be hearing silence. And there are so many saints that have heard silence. Mother Teresa, who, God bless her, experienced a darkness for 50 years in her ministry, yet she still persevered in prayer and persevered in her service of him. So I think she's someone that can be a great example to us. Temptations. I think it's very easy to pray when we're not being tempted or challenged by something, because when the Holy Spirit presents something or opens our eyes to something in our heart that needs transformation and which requires our hearts to be put in the fire to be purified, it becomes very hard to sit down and pray. And similarly, physical, mental, and emotional wounds. It's very, 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 very hard to pray to a loving God who allows us to go through suffering because it's painful and uncomfortable and not fun. And lastly, laziness. Sometimes we just haven't put in the adequate measures, structures, routines, and habits in our life that still facilitate prayer to sustain us in our prayer lives. We all know that life can be hectic, crazy busy, and sometimes it might just require scheduling in 10, 15, 20, 30, 45, 60, ideally, minutes to sit down and engage in a conversation with Jesus. So that's it. That's part 1 of Prayer 101. Again, like, subscribe if this is something that you feel might be helpful for you in your journey towards holiness. I'm praying for you. God bless you. Keep chasing after Jesus. Peace. The heart of mercy itself ay kagahod.